You are now tuned in to Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette, where your host, Annette Harris, analyze intriguing life questions and concerns, such as do Christians suffer from mental illness? Have you wondered why they act abnormal? Or you may ask, what is really going on in their minds? Do you need Annette? Well, keep listening for a biblical understanding of the psychology of the mind.
Well, hello, and welcome again to another wonderful session of Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette. And I am your host, Annette Harris. Thank you for joining us on today for watching and or listening. Now, I must, of course, acknowledge the Lord in prayer before I go further. I'm so excited today. You just have to bear with me. But Lord, we thank you for this wonderful day. We thank you for bright sunshine. We thank you for who you are and how you are and what you're doing in us and through us. We pray that you would get the glory out of today's session. In the name of Jesus, we pray. And our opening scripture on this show that we like to quote is the first part of Hosea 4 and 6. And it states, for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. And again, we are grateful. It's another Wednesday. I'm excited. I'm always excited, you may say, but that's okay. That's a good thing, right? All right, I am here. And I have a wonderful guest in my presence on this afternoon. I'm going to introduce her, but let me do this first. Let you know that there are three different ways that you can listen to us on today. I do have a Facebook live feed going on my personal page, Annette, known as Annette. And then also I have the station's website, intellectualradio.com. You can go there to listen to us. It's all one word, intellectualradio.com. And then I'm also on YouTube live right now. Have you subscribed to my YouTube channel? Well, you have time right now while I'm talking. Go on to YouTube, type in MBSWANET, and you will see Get Caught in the Net there. So you can go ahead and tune in. If any one of these other avenues go down, you have three different ways. So you shouldn't miss anything on today. So let me introduce to you all my guest. I see you guys coming in on Facebook Live, and I'm so appreciative. Want to let you know you do come in. Go ahead and like and share. I would appreciate it. Like and share, and then everybody can get a chance to hear Mind, Body, and Soul on today. How about that? All right, this is great. I am pulling up a bio. Beautiful young woman of God to my right here, Dr. Nicole Howell Scott. I did it right this time. That's an inside joke. You guys know nothing about what I'm saying right now. How are you on today?
I am wonderful.
Good. Now I want you to make that mic your friend because I want everybody to be able to hear you on today.
Okay.
All right? Okay, because you have a light voice. So we want to be able to let everybody know. Like they tell the children, use your outside voice, right? Okay, let's see here. I'm going to read this little short bio I have of Dr. Scott here. American Association of Single Parents Incorporated, and the acronym AASP, was incorporated by the Secretary of State in Illinois on January 30th, 2001. AASP is recognized by the IRS as a 501c3 federal tax exempt nonprofit organization. This organization was founded by Dr. Nicole Howell Scott, who understands the many challenges the custodial parent faces on a daily basis. Through her own struggles and triumphs as a single parent, she catapulted herself into a life of advocacy for custodial single parents. Through Nicole's belief and submission unto her faith, the mission of AASP was born. Just a little bit more I want to read here. The American Association of Single Parents will take a holistic approach to support the custodial single parent through charitable, social, and educational programs. Under Nicole's leadership, AASP has serviced over 250 children through the organization's educational program, ACE, Academics Creating Excellence, throughout Chicago and surrounding communities. AASP supported single parents who are members of Big Brother, Big Sister of Long Island by shipping over 200 clothing items to those affected by the superstorm. And we have a few highlights of her professional background. She has over 10 years of progressive experience in the field of education, social services, and child welfare program credentials, including a bachelor's degree in English and a master's degree in human service administration and a doctorate in education. My girl. All right. Dr. Scott has been a national service member of AmeriCorps and dedicated her time and talent to teaching financial literacy. Love this, to low income families throughout the Chicago and surrounding community. Oh my God, that's phenomenal right there. I love that. Okay, and then also she is the creator of Mom 911, managing our motherhood and managing our money. Supportive services. Dr. Scott is passionate about motivating and educating single parents on how to break the cycle of poverty for their family. Dr. Scott has one biological son and three bonus sons from her marriage to James W. Scott, whom I know she loves this man so much because she talks about him so much on Facebook. And they currently reside in Chicago, Illinois. I'm not mad at you. That's wonderful. I love it. And we do have some contact information we're going to leave with you before the end of the show where you can contact Dr. Scott. Oh my goodness. Okay, I know I've just said a mouthful, but that's a great bio. I mean, it gave us, synopsis, and I'm sure it's not everything, but it gave a synopsis of what you have been doing. This is great stuff here. So I reached out to Dr. Scott and I wanted her to come on because I've been seeing her posts on Facebook and how she is helping. And I am one who I love to see what I can do to help others. And I see that this is what you're doing as well. Mm-hmm. And so I reached out to her. And so she's like, oh, yeah, sure. Okay. And then she checked her schedule. And here we are today. And I'm frantic. I'm frantic because I think you're going to be able to help somebody on today. That's why I'm really excited.
So. That's the plan.
Okay. So tell us about Dr. Scott. I mean, I know I read your bio, but in your own words, if you would not mind, why, this foundation, how it was created, how it came to be. Tell us a little bit about the background.
I used to say your misery sometimes turns into your ministry. And I believed in God, but I didn't know God. I didn't have a relationship with him. And so when I got pregnant with my son, I was not married to his father. We were talking about it, but it never came to be. And so I was a single parent. And through those struggles of, I had a degree. I had already graduated with my undergrad. So I was employed and I did not qualify for any public aid or anything like that, but had my own place, my own bills, and this man child to raise by myself. And so the organization really came about. I was sitting in the middle of my floor. This is a true story. And, I wasn't saved, but I knew that there was a God. I said, okay, God, you're going to have to help me with this because do I pay my light bill or do I buy groceries? Tell me, what do I do? I mean, I was working every day. I was teaching at the time, but the ends just would not meet. I don't even think they was waving at each, So
your money was making jokes, huh?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And so it was as clear as day, a whisper, American Association of Single Parents. And I got up and I got on the computer and I typed literally all night and came up with the plan, the vision, everything. So that was not me. Wasn't me. I could never take credit. Oh, look what I did. No. Absolutely not. And my son slept all night. So I know
that it was the Lord.
It had to be. It had to be.
So he was a baby at that time?
Yeah, he was maybe one.
Wow.
Maybe one. Mm-hmm. He wasn't even walking yet. He wasn't even walking. And so it was through my own circumstances. Romans 8:28, God uses everything, all things work together for those who love him and are called. And so I didn't understand it at the time, but when I surrendered and did give my life to Christ, it all started to unfold and make sense.
Wow, that's a great backstory there. That is awesome. And I love, what did you say in the beginning? Your misery? What was the quote?
becomes your ministry.
Becomes your ministry.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's great. That it reminds me of that other statement. And it just escaped my mind. But no, that's awesome because obviously, you were really feeling this. You were in it. And
Mhm.
a lot of times when we're in stuff, that's when things are created. Necessity is the mother of all invention. That's where I was trying to get
Mhm.
to.
Mhm.
So that you can liken that into that as well. When we are in need of things,
Mhm.
sometimes that's when the invention comes out of things that we need. And yeah, I will. I mean, I know you said you're not going to take credit for everything, but I would definitely applaud you for even getting up off the floor to go and start your
Mhm.
typing. I mean, we thank God for leading you in that way. But I'm sure there were many who sat in that same position, probably sat in the floor and cried just like you did.
Mhm.
Some are probably still there in the
Mhm.
floor,
Mhm.
so to speak. So
Mhm.
it's a blessing that you were able to get up and to do something about it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I agree. I think that I got up and I, started typing, and God knew that He would be able to use me. And that's really all I want now, is to be able to be used. And I think about, if I went through this, I know that there are others out there who need supportive services. Everything that I wish I was able to have or had access to, regardless of my income, because that's what closed me out of a lot of services. I think at the time I was making $33,000 a year, and with a car note, rent, daycare in itself is through the roof. $33,000 a year, I could have used some additional services to help the ends meet. And so I think about all of those other custodial single parents. I try not to say moms, although the majority of single parents are moms. We service the custodial single parents. So if there are men out there who need our services, we reach out to them as well. However, they pride is still there. And so we don't get that many men who are raising their kids, but they do exist. They do exist. And so it was just really important for me to be able to offer services that I know I needed, because I didn't want anybody to struggle as I struggled. Because you can find yourself in a dark place. You really can, especially if you don't know God.
Right, right,
So,
definitely. Okay, so let's take this a step at a time here.
okay.
Um, so you have the background, of what you started. When you went to go and type, I mean, you said you heard the name of the foundation in your mind. So you were just basically what you were typing was the whatever for the to get the foundation together. What all were you typing there and getting together at that point?
From what I remember, I got up and I got to the computer and I said, okay, what is this organization going to do? What does this mean? And I wrote out the mission. I knew what I needed: charitable, social, and educational programs. Um, and that's how the mission, you know, came about. It was a holistic approach. So, however, we needed to alter it, change it, assist somebody, as long as we stayed under charitable, social, and educational. And under the charitable programs, we do food and grocery, emergency food and grocery, utility bill assistance, because I was trying to figure out how to pay my light bill or buy groceries. So I knew others needed that as well. And emergency clothing. Now, either that be via a voucher to a thrift store, or sometimes I have gotten gift cards. And if someone was in need, I would get a gift card from the actual store and bless somebody with it. And then utility bill assistance, if we have funding available and someone is in need to get their light bill paid, we try to call and negotiate on their behalf, and maybe we can help them with half, or it just depends on our funding. Okay.
Okay.
To help them either get their lights turned back on or prevent a shut off.
Okay.
Okay. Our social programs, which I'm super excited about because we launched our Mom 911, our managing our motherhood and managing our money for the social aspect for the single moms. I think that is so, so crucial for us to learn how to be savvy with the money that we have. We don't have to go and get 2 and 3 jobs. I mean, I was literally working 3 jobs and trying to figure out how to do other things, braid hair. We can be creative. And so I think that if we are able to manage what we have, you know, I cut out cable. It was a privilege to have cable in my house, And so just looking within our means and budget, being able to budget. And then we have a youth program that we try to work with the youth, a mentoring program for the children of a single parent household because it's difficult. It's really difficult. Raising my son was the toughest thing that I had to do because it's true. You can't raise a boy into a man. You do need that male influence. You really do. But I did the best I could. He's doing well. I didn't have all the financial resources for additional activities. He's never played sport, things like that, because I just didn't have it. And so what I did is, which leads into our educational programs, I focused on his education. I made sure he was in private school, and I did what I needed to do to keep him focused on. It's done quite well.
That's awesome. Now, how old is he now?
He is 21.
Oh my.
Yes.
Okay, so this is not just started. Oh, right.
No. Yes, he is grown.
All right. She doesn't look like she has a 21-year-old. I thought he was a young person.
Oh, no.
Okay, well, this is beautiful. Let me hop over here to Facebook Live real quick. Let me recognize you that are in here. I don't want to not recognize you. I see Brandy McCord here. Thanks for watching. Larry Jones, how are you, my brother? Thanks for watching. And I inboxed you, so check your inbox. Lavation McGee, thanks for watching. Lasagna Alexander, Carolyn Nesbitt, Pastor Ross, all the way from New York. Thanks for watching on today. Buddy Gill, that's my guy. That's my big brother there. Jatoria Johnson. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. That's a pretty name. Let's see. Hello, back at you, Carolyn. Lori Anderson, thanks for watching. Janetta Franklin, we appreciate you. Divine Favor, how are you? Aura, how are you, my new sister? Thanks for watching. Beatrice Carter, good afternoon to you as well. Michelle Thomas, how are you, sis? Alvin Carter, thanks for watching. Demetria Williams Pitts. Theron Tang, oh my goodness, you guys are making me so excited. My old childhood friend is on. Thank you for watching on today. Let's see. Roxanne, how are you? I just saw you pop in. I appreciate you as well. You guys are on here and I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your support. And you know what? A lot of times I'll ask my listeners to give my guests a beautiful MBS welcome, and it looks like they're doing that. They're popping in here. So hopefully we have something on today that is going to bless the people. And I am grateful. So, oh yeah, this is great stuff here. I do know that we're going to have a spoken word. I'll have that queued up and ready to be played. I have a young man who also every week he supplies us with a spoken word in relation to the topic of the day. So excited to hear what that's going to be about. So, okay, this is great stuff. I think I'm still blown because you have a 21-year-old, but that's okay. But your background, this is when you first started writing everything to get the organization together, you had your master's at that point?
No, I just had my bachelor's degree.
Really? Okay. Okay. Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Okay. And there's so many different parts of your organization that I kind of want to go into on today. And you were kind of talking just a little bit in your background, or your description of it, should I say, just a few moments ago. But there's some things that I definitely want to talk about. first question I want to ask you now,
Mhm.
you mentioned about how, okay, you know how you were affected yourself and how you were dealing with things, or you had lack in
Mhm.
so many areas. And then you thought about others. If I'm lacking this, I'm sure there are other single parents that are
Mhm.
lacking as well. Did you immediately think of other people, or was it, you know, sometimes we were like, okay, I want to get this done for myself or whatever.
Mhm.
Or did you immediately think of everybody else, or like kind of down the line?
No, the whole purpose, I got up and started typing, or I should say, I yielded to whatever pushed me to do it, was because I knew there were others. It was never really just about me, because I could just go down to the public aid office or wherever if it was just about me. But it has always been me being an advocate for, the single parent. And the biggest part of it is because it's not just about the parent and what they have to deal with, 24/7 raising that child, but it's also about the child. It's also about what they are not receiving. And it's, due to, yes, of course, the other parent being absent, but the time and attention that it takes to raise a child, especially if that single parent has two jobs. I used to have two jobs. My son was a latchkey in third grade. And back then, a latchkey, and he had a cell phone. So everybody was like, who is this third grader with this? But he had a flip phone. And so he had to grow up really quick because I could no longer afford to pay for him to be in after school. His tuition at the time, I'm not gonna mention the school, but it was worth it. The education was great. Was over $400, and then with after school, it was over $600. And so I said, I cannot continue to do this. And when he got in third grade, he was really responsible. And I know that there are other parents out there who worry about their kids, but they have no other choice because they gotta go to work. They gotta go.
Right. Yeah, and it's almost like you're working just to, put them
Hmm.
in a certain school or whatever. And it, like you said, what you say your ends were, sometimes they weren't waving at
They
each
wasn't
other.
even waving. They would act like they were gonna meet, and then they would run the
They were running.
opposite direction.
I think we can all witness that, whether we're parents or not.
Hmm.
Lord have mercy. Okay, that's great that you actually had your heart was, you were thinking
Hmm.
about other people as well, and you were teaching at the time. So
Hmm.
I'm sure you probably saw, single parents, with your students. Were you teaching in certain when elementary school or?
No, actually, I was a teacher with ITT. They're no longer in business, but ITT Tech. I taught there for 5.5 years.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. Great. Yeah. Well, I mean, we know that um, there are single parents who are going to class, who are trying to
Hmm.
take classes and,
Hmm.
better themselves as well. So, yeah, this is, oh my goodness. Okay. So, when we talk about, um, and I'm looking back through your bio here, I love the fact that you want to look at what people are dealing with on different levels. You said the social level, educational level, charitable level. Why don't we talk about that? Why don't we talk about even how you even get this word out to parents, or how they can come to know about your foundation to even get any assistance or help. And I'm
Hmm.
sure, I don't know if you deal with grants or anything like
Hmm.
that. I'm
Hmm.
sure that all that comes into play
Hmm.
because you're giving out money, to
Right.
people, helping them. So you didn't
Right.
have it in the first place. That's why you did
Right.
this. So, so tell us a little bit about that.
Well, you can get more information about us on www.aasp-inc.org. Okay. If you want to donate, you can donate via the website. We do Chase Quick Pay. We got a cash app for the organization, and all donations are tax deductible. And so that's how people can give if they want. Yeah, reach our parents. We reach them through our free workshops that we offer um, uh, through Mom 911.
Okay.
And those topics generally deal with budgeting, how to maintain the stresses of parenting alone. And so a lot of times I'll bring in a guest speaker. We had Dr. Napasha Gettings come to one of our workshops, and she is phenomenal at, explaining how to deal with the stresses of motherhood. But we try to reach out to and partner with other organizations that will be a resource. We are not the source. Okay. And so we don't mind reaching out, partnering, bringing in speakers, whoever we think is going to support our community and give them something that they can take away, and be useful to them. I think it's very important that it takes a village concept. Not just a child, but it takes a village for a family to do what, reach out, and I partner with other organizations and individuals.
And that's key.
Hmm.
Networking is so key.
Yeah.
When you have your own organization, foundation, networking is definitely something you definitely need to take a part in. So how often do you have the workshops?
We do the workshops. I try to do one once a month. We paused for 3 months to get another list of workshop topics and presenters and speakers and that thing. So we are ready to kick back up starting in December. We are actually going to be hosting a workshop, and we do them at the library. One, because it's free for us to do it at the library. Okay. And the library is open to everyone. So it is, and it's never a cost for the parents to attend. And so we're finalizing some things for the December workshop, but it's going to be dealing with finances because the end of the year is coming. We're trying to get somebody there who can start looking at taxes for single parents, and they're going to do it for free. And so that is our December workshop that's coming up. And so for those of you who may be interested, just make sure you go to our page, American Association of Single Parents, and like it so that you can connect and get that information.
Oh, that's good information to know. Do you have a website also?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So we'll make sure we have that, and maybe we can type it into our live feed and YouTube as well, so that individuals will have the information so they can contact you. And that's good. I mean, you want to look at stuff like towards the end of the year, because a lot of people just want to spend their money on these gifts because Christmas is coming, and like you said earlier, you have to sometimes you may have to cut out some things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I never bought my son a pair of Jordans. Never.
Okay.
And I think that we get misled a lot of times by what we think our children need. They need a stable environment, clean clothes, food to eat, not all these extras.
Right.
Not that he, didn't have, but I let other people buy that stuff, and I cared about his education. I cared about the education.
And that you've done that from the beginning, you said.
Mm-hmm.
So you wouldn't need to keep that up.
Yeah.
I'm sure he probably wants some additional things, but that's good to know.
Yeah.
All right. What I'm going to do here is we're going to take a quick break, just listen to a little music, and we'll come back for more information. I can give out a call out or call in number 708-223-8953. Again, 708-223-8953. If you have any questions for Dr. Scott, if you want to ask her anything directly or just call in to say hi, we can do that. We're going to go to a quick break, and you'll be back for more of Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette right here on Intellectual Radio.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it. No. I don't believe it. No. Lord, I believe in you. Lord, I believe in you. I'm a believer. I've been washed in the blood of my sin. Gave me what Lord. In your power, Lord, I believe. Oh, Lord, you've been my shelter. You've been my healer. I believe. Yeah. Oh, yes, you are my God. Yeah. The Bible says, if I seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, so Lord, I believe. Oh, Lord, yeah. You see, if I call on your name, oh, Lord, the Bible says, you've been so good to me. You will heal body. You said it, Lord. You never leave me or forsake me. Oh, Lord, I believe.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back. You're listening to Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette. This is your host, Annette Harris. We appreciate you for listening to us on today. We have been listening to this beautiful woman of God. I can tell she's beautiful inside. I mean, she's beautiful outside. You can see that, but she's definitely beautiful inside. Listening to her and her heart. I hear her heart when she talks. I do. And her love for people. And that takes a lot, because some people, again, I know I've said this earlier, can be selfish. You know what I mean? You deal with, okay, I'm just me and my foe and no more, whatever.
Yeah.
And they don't really think about others. They don't really think about somebody else could be going through the exact same thing I'm going through. What can I do to help them? What can I do to help alleviate? I need to be alleviated. I need to be helped or whatever. But I want to reach out and help somebody else. And again, I just think it's admirable of you. I really do. I really do. So within your organization and your association, how many people do you have working with you? Do you have like a team of people, a staff? Talk to us about that.
Right now, we have volunteers. We have partnered with New Community Church in Dalton, which is my church home pastor, Christopher Dodd, and his wonderful wife, Shalonda Dodd. We have partnered with them, and we offer the ACE, before and after program, Academics Creating Excellence. And so, I mean, it's an awesome ministry. It's a growing ministry. Is where people and God are loved, or where God and people are loved. But
love is the key there.
Yeah, love is the key. Love is the key. But yes, there are services and programs that are to come, and we have partnered with them to offer the educational part of the organization. And so it is really all volunteer right now. All volunteer. And so
that works.
Yeah, that works. That works. I think that a lot of people, they walk around wondering, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? And I cannot be selfish, because I'm living out my purpose. And it was just so important for me to be able to do that. And not that, running this organization has been all peaches and cream, because it has not. It has been a struggle. I wanted to be Jonah. I wanted to say, look, God, can I just get a job and, get married and that's it? No, the time that I was a single parent, I had to be, so that I could have the experience, so that I could have the testimony to help somebody else. And I think that when people don't know their purpose, they need to just be quiet and look at their life and discover what it is, and walk it out. And I truly believe that I am walking it out.
Definitely. Now, let me ask you, tell us about some of those times where you felt you wanted to be Jonah and just go in the belly of Will and not even.
No. No.
And then everybody raised their hands and me too.
Right. Because I've had several jobs, all in an effort to, fund the organization. And, because of the American Association of Single Parents, the myth is that all single parents are lazy, uneducated, they're irresponsible. But that is not the case. And I think that even some single parents, they don't reach out or they don't attend the events because there is some shame attached to being a single parent. And I think, and I'm definitely trying to change that attitude, because if we look at the story of Hagar in the Bible, God still smiled on her.
He did.
And for all intents purposes, she is the first example in the Bible of a single parent. And due to no fault of her own, she was doing what she was supposed to do.
That's true.
you know
That's
so
very true.
yeah. And so I think that if we can get out of that mindset that I've done something wrong. I mean, I'm guilty too. When I first knew that I was going to be a single parent and I'm walking around with this big belly, I went and bought me a little bubblegum ring and put it on because I didn't want nobody looking at me. Oh, look at her, poor thing. She going to be a single parent. And I didn't want that on me. But it was, I'm telling you, when you get to know the Lord, you let go of all of that foolishness. And so I was able to do that and really discover the reason why I had to go through what I had to go through, so that I could be here, talking to you. God uses everything.
He does.
Everything.
And everything, I always believe everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely.
All things work together. That's one of my favorite scriptures.
Yep.
People don't realize that. We don't, sometimes we could be sitting in the middle of the floor crying like, oh, why? But, when you look at the whole picture or the big scope of things, God has a plan. He definitely has a plan.
Yeah.
May not feel good at that point in time, but, and I think, I'm not surprised that you're saying that it, creating this foundation and continuing it has not, brought on challenges or so to speak, or, maybe you saying sometimes, okay, I just want to stop this right now. Can I just go back to my regular life? I'm not surprised at that because, you don't get, to where, God would have you on the mountaintop, unless you go through.
Yeah.
You have to go through some stuff to get there. And that's what we have to realize, no matter what we are over, what we're dealing with. Maybe you, my listeners, have something that you're dealing with right now, and you maybe you don't understand why it's happening or what have you. But hopefully, again, today's session will be something to encourage you to push through that, because again, it could be muddy water you're pushing through. I just push through it. It'll work out. Like you said, when you come to know Christ, that helps. People don't realize that. Now, let me go back a little bit, because you mentioned about when you first went to go and write everything down for the foundation. You felt something pushing you, and at that point, you weren't saved at that point.
No.
Now, how long after that did you? And maybe tell us a little bit about that. How that you came to know Christ after creating the foundation.
Well, a friend of mine at the time, she had been inviting me to church, and when I was younger, before I had my son and all of that, to be quite honest, the idea of there being an all-knowing, all-powerful God was a little bit scary for me. And I would avoid conversations. I believed in God. I knew that there was a God, but I would kind of avoid the conversation altogether. And so at that time, a friend of mine, she would invite me to church. Oh, okay, yeah, I'm coming. And when I did go, my son was on my hip at the time, and it was an experience, and I didn't join the first time, and I felt guilty when I did not. And the second time that I went, my son was on my hip, and it was almost like I couldn't stay in my seat. Like I was running to the altar, because I knew, with tears in my eyes, I said, God, I know you have created me for more than just to be this boy's mama and struggle from day to day. I know you have created me for more. And if you can use me to show other single moms that, hey, God has created you for a purpose as well.
Right.
Then that's what I need to do.
That's
and
beautiful.
and so that's how it all happened.
Right.
That's how
Okay.
it all
I
happened.
love that. It's almost
Mhm.
like you're taking, and then we're not saying this about your son, but you're taking the situation and you're making something good out of it, making lemonade out of lemon.
Mhm.
So the situation. And then you even talked about the stigma because there is a stigma
Yes. Yeah.
with single parents. But and this is maybe easier said than done, but you just have to say, okay, the baby's here now. I mean, what you gonna do?
Mhm. Mhm.
And I think those from the outside looking in, we have to be so careful with how we handle
Mhm.
individuals and kind of looking at about the side of our eye because they had a child. There could be a variety of reasons
Absolutely.
that
Absolutely.
they ended up pregnant,
Mhm.
caring for a child without being married. There's
Right.
there's so many reasons there. We don't shouldn't always think, oh, it's because she was fast or he was
Mhm.
just so mannish. And I'm probably dating myself using those terms, but but there's some things behind that.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, we even look at some situations that are not so desirable. Sometimes, unfortunately, people get raped,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
have children,
Mhm.
from that. So we can't lump everybody all into
Mhm.
one
Mhm.
thing and say it's because of that, the reason why that they are single parents. So,
Right.
um, this is great. Now, you talked about some of the single parents that you reach out to and how with the stigma that they're dealing with. How was that something that when you started reaching out to them, did that hit you in your face when they were like basically almost kind of like, nah, I don't really want to deal with that because I'm ashamed of what I did or whatever? Were you surprised?
You know what? Surprised, I don't know if that's the word I would use. I would say I was hurt. I was hurt. I'm like, "What do you mean?" You don't wanna be identified as a single parent. It's almost like we want to, um, put a facade on and not call it what it is, and not that, um, I say this, there should be some pride in that because you decided to be a parent. You could have decided not to be a parent.
There was the other alternative,
Hey,
right?
you could have decided not to be a parent. And so you decided to take on this challenge. And you can do it well. And so I was almost hurt that um, you know, parents who are single parents didn't want to be identified as such. But that's what you are. And I know some parents out there that are making it happen for their kids by themselves, and they're doing a great job at it. And I'm still trying to um figure out ways to let people know that, okay, so what? You're a single parent, now what? What are you going to do with that? I put a post out there once before, hey, I'm a single parent. What's your superpower? Because for someone to be able to orchestrate and I only had one. I didn't get married till my son was 19. So I only had one child. I take my hat off to people who have more than one. And you are able to orchestrate, do schedules, and do all these things, manage a household, you know, and raise your kids. So one of my board members, Erica Weaver, she just graduated from law school, has 3 kids, single parent. I mean, we're making it happen out here.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. And that's
So,
something, yeah. Pat them
yeah.
on the back,
Yeah.
do what you can to encourage them to keep going. Because, again, unfortunately, a lot of times people, just still just look the other way or thinking about, okay,
Mhm.
nah, they didn't do it the right way. They put the cart before the horse or what have
Mhm.
you. But yeah, make it happen. Make it
Yeah.
happen. So you have the situation where some of them don't want to be recognized as single parents. And then how did, I just heard you say you're trying to think of creative ways to get around that. What are some of the ways that you do? Do you just like maybe take time out, maybe with some of them, sit down and talk to them, maybe tell them your own
Mhm.
story, or how do you get beyond that so that they can come in and take
Mhm.
advantage of what you have?
Mhm.
I was talking on my keep that question in mind. I was talking on my pre-show, and I said, you know what? We need to take advantage of what God has for us and stop living beneath our privileges. Let's live above our privileges. Let's take advantage of what God offers us. You have something great to offer these single parents. How do you get it across to them?
One of the things that we did was launch our Mom 911. Okay. One of the many struggles, of course, is making the ends meet. So I said, you know what? We need to be educated on how to manage our money. Mom 911, it's an emergency. Here in the state of Illinois, over 500,000 single parent households in the state of Illinois, 34% of them live in poverty. We need to know how to manage our money. Mom 911, managing our motherhood. And 911, it's an emergency. We have to know how to deal with everything that goes on, even the other parent, how to manage that whole relationship. So that we can raise healthy and productive children. And so Mom 911 was really created so that we could put it out there as, hey, this is what you are. This is what we're talking about. And it's an emergency, not just because your life depends on it, but now your kids' life depend on it. Whether or not you are whole and healthy, whether or not you're able to manage your finances, what are you teaching them in regards to finances if you're going to break that cycle of poverty? And so instead of coming out there, American Association of Single Parents, although that is the organization, but look, you're a mom and it's an emergency. And so we came with Mom 911.
Wonderful. Okay, that's good. Okay. Let me hop back over here to Facebook Live. I see you're on, Rolanda. Thanks for joining and watching. Masola Simpson. There are a few on here that are single parents on today. If you guys, again, have any questions, comments, please put them in. It seems like you guys are like really listening to what she's saying on today. Put them into the live feed, or you can call in 708-223-8953. And I know during this time of day, a lot of you are at work. You may not get a chance to call in, so that's fine, but we'll still give you the number again, 708-223-8953. And yeah, so I don't know, a lot of times, as we were just talking about, you trying to basically get the single parents to really listen to you and or take advantage. I mean, I know it can be difficult sometimes and frustrating probably for you. But I'm sure you probably feel a sense of accomplishment once they do, like, okay, I'll listen. I'll take, tell us what that's like for you, or maybe do that. And then also take us into maybe a day in AASP or Moms 911, which you would, maybe kind of do like on a regular basis, I don't know, getting your feel out for those in the area or new moms, reaching out to them. Take us into maybe a day in AASP or Moms 911. And I know, like you say, you partner with other organizations.
Well, currently, I'll take you through a current day. Currently, like I said before, we're partnering with New Community Church in Dalton. And so that's where we're actually located. And so in a day, from 6 to 8:30, I am actually running the Before program for the kids.
6 a.m.
6 a.m.
Oh, bless your heart.
Yes, 6 a.m. So 6 to 8:30, that's where I am. I am at the church, ready to go with the kids, getting them breakfast and school. No job is too big or too small. Yep, I'm the president and founder, but so what? The work needs to be done.
Love it.
And so in between the day, then I'm the administrator. I'm the administrator. I'm sending out emails. I'm following up with potential partners, potential donors, things like that. And then in the afternoon, I put on my other hat and I'm helping run the after school part of the ACE program, along with Shalonda Dodd, the pastor's wife. And then we have Sydney Jones, the office administrator at the church. And we make it happen. We are currently looking for academic tutors for our program. So if there is someone who is interested in doing that, you will be compensated. It is a paid position to assist us with tutoring the kids after school, because it's just not babysitting. The ACE after school program is designed to help kids maintain what they learn and challenge them to get to the next level. We like to partner with the teachers. We like to email them and say, hey, your student is enrolled in our program. How can we better assist them? Do you have any material that you can share with us that can help them maintain and move to the next level? And so we specialize in homework completion and accuracy. Just not something scribbled on the paper. No, we're going to check it to see if it's right. Because when I was raising my son, getting off from work and trying to go home and do some homework, I did not want to do that. And so that's one of the things we make sure, because the majority of our kids are in single parent households.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're thinking ahead of everything. And again, it's perfect that you were in the situation. So you kind of know.
Yeah.
Okay, let's help them out with their homework, because by the time the parents get home, they're not going to want to feel like, helping them out.
Yep.
This is great. Girl, my hat is just I don't have a hat on today, but my hat is off to you. I love this. I love this. Now, what I want to do right here, let me read this comment real quick.
Okay.
Brandy McCord says she really wish she had access to something like Mom 911 when she was struggling as a single parent. This is a godsend. And I'm trying my best to get this across today, that this really is a godsend. What Dr. Scott is doing, who she's partnering with, this is wonderful stuff. And we really need to be able to take advantage of this. So I see you on, Elder Kevin McGee. As a matter of fact, what I think I want to do right now, Tradon McAllister, thanks for watching, another educator there. I appreciate you joining us on today. I want to get our spoken word set up so that we can have that played at our next break. So we'll take a break. We will listen to our spoken word, play a little bit of music, and then we'll come back.
Reminiscing on life and looking at my journey. How did I get here? I mean, where I am now. Of course, it was all due to God, but how did I get here when the odds were stacked against me? You see, growing up, my family was never nuclear because that one element was missing, dear old dad. See, I guess I can't call him dear because that's a term of endearment, and you give endearments to those that you love, but I never knew him to love him. It was just mom and I was the man of the house from birth. But the real hero was my mom. In a time when statistics said children from single-family homes did worse than two-parent homes, my mom never put much faith in numbers. Rather, she held on to God and she sacrificed so I could grow to become a man. And though she couldn't teach me how to be a man, she instead told me the kind of man that women are looking for and challenged me to be that man. Watching my mother work untiringly, double shifts, going without so that I could have much, making me study so that one day I could rise above the shackles of the child of the single parent syndrome, where I was sometimes ashamed, into a man who realized that shame only becomes to those who shame themselves into thinking they don't measure up. And I do measure up. Can any good thing come from a single parent home? The answer is yes, because here I am, made by God and tested and approved by mom. I have nothing to be ashamed of because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I am a voice for those who feel inadequate because daddy isn't around. It's your party and he missed it. But mom is there like she always has been. Now you see, maybe with you, dad was there but mom wasn't. Or maybe both were there, but they never jumped the broom, but they kept their business clean and took care of you. Whatever the case may be, stand up, single parents everywhere. Take your bow. We couldn't have made it without you, and this is your time.
creator of our dreams. There is no other God beside thee, and we stand here and reverence your name.
For you are worthy to be lifted up. Please receive our sincere worship. For you are the mighty God we serve. Oh, the earth plan.
The mighty God we serve.
We serve a mighty God, mighty God. Let the angels bow down. Let heaven and earth adore him, yeah. God we serve.
What a mighty God we serve.
All right. Welcome back. This is Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette. You're listening to us here. I'm your host, Annette Harris, and I'm joined in the studio this afternoon by Dr. Scott. And she has been informing us of some wonderful things with her organization. Oh, my goodness. American Association of Single Parents. And if you guys have not heard of this organization, you're missing a treat. So if you're on my Facebook Live feed, I actually did place the website, her website there, AASP hyphen inc.org. Okay, I wanted to look at it again. All right. Okay, so you can go there and check her out. You may need it, or you may need to pass it off to someone else. But definitely, this is some information that you need to know. We were listening, our first break, we were listening to Damon Wilkes and Friends. Believer, I believe, was the name of that song. And then also for this last break, we were listening to Zoriante Brown and the Willing Souls. And Simply Enough, What a Mighty God We Serve. So thank both of those artists for their songs that they supply for Mind, Body, and Soul. That spoken word, oh my goodness, Elder Kevin McGee, he has a show here on Saturdays, 12 o'clock, entitled Connections. And he's mighty with that hand, with that pen, I tell you, spoken word. What did you think about that?
I thought it was amazing. And it speaks to everything that, I'm really trying to do is, hey, stand up, be heard, when I think about the organization and really what he was saying, I think about this poem by Langston Hughes, I Too Sing America. Hey, I Too Sing America. In this country, there are over 13 million single parent households raising over 22 million kids.
Oh my
So
God.
we have to, if we really think about it, what direction are we going in? The single parent population, at some point may decide an election. Who knows?
So what we put into them and what we put into the parents, the children, it's going to make a difference.
Absolutely.
So the instruction has to be there. Darcy, I see you on. D'Amica, thanks for watching. And Elder Kevin McGee, thank you again. That was definitely on point. I enjoyed it tremendously. I may be a little biased as my friend, but that was great spoken word in reference to this subject. So I will let that take us into my next question, because he kind of, within that spoken word, he was focusing on the child. And you talked a little bit about that earlier. So I want to ask you, from what you've seen, and now how long it's been, what was it, 2001?
2001 when it was incorporated.
Okay. All right. So that's a long time.
Long time.
Okay, now I can see. Okay, your son is 21. Okay, all right. I'm there now. I'm there. I'm sure during this time, because it's been a number of years for you, that you have seen different effects on the children, the children of single parent household. What are some of the effects that you have seen? I actually pulled up an article that I kind of want to reference as well. But what are some of the effects that you really see with these children? Do you see, withdrawn? Are they maybe lashing out, for whatever reason, or just feeling, Because sometimes they can feel, oh, I can't get this because my mom is,
Mhm.
she can't afford it or whatever, and so they may
Mhm.
feel embarrassed when they're at school. What
Mhm.
have you noticed? Some of the things you notice with the children and their.
Mhm. One of the things that, and I actually did research on this. I did my dissertation on the link between crime and the single parent household, and I discovered that there is a link. Not saying that single parents raise children who commit crimes, but when you have a mother who is struggling to make ends meet, and you have a child come in the house and say, here's $2,000, they're not going to ask where that money came from. They just know that they need to go buy groceries, or they need to pay a light bill, or they need to, get some medication, you know? And so when you look at it that way, after I did my research, I understood, why it would make sense. And it's in, urban communities. I have found that some of the statistics are true as far as, kids from single parent households are likely to get involved with delinquent activities, likely not to graduate from high school. I understand that, but that's not the truth for all. It doesn't have to be the truth for all kids of single parent households. But there is, research backs it up. It is true. Um, but I know that with the proper support, that's why it's so important to support children of single parent households. You get, you have all these organizations that are mentoring kids and, offering their support for the child. But in actuality, it is the whole family structure that needs support. And so that's why we take a holistic approach, not just to have programs and services for the child, but we also want to focus on the parent, because you can mentor a kid all day long, but when they go back home, are they going back home to dysfunction? Because then when they go back to the mentoring program, you got to reprogram them all over again. So are we really trying to end violence in a community? And if we are, then are we looking at the entire family? Are we trying to do something to support the entire family? Or are we just focusing on a child? What can a child do to change the entire household, as opposed to looking at the parent and putting resources and programs and services together for the parent to get the parent to change the household?
I love that. I
Mhm.
love that. You got to start. You got to start somewhere,
Yeah,
right?
you got to start somewhere.
Things will start at the head.
Right.
Okay. I mean, and then I mean, my late grandmother used to always say this, and it sounded funny, and it still sounds funny actually. She said, if if God didn't want us to have parents, He would have let us grow up like weeds. Now I know that probably go over a lot of y'all head, but she's
Yeah,
basically, you have a responsibility,
absolutely.
and so we need to. It needs to be recognized on both ends, from the
Mhm.
parents' end and also the child's end.
Mhm.
Understand and know that, I mean, we all have a role. We all have a responsibility. The parents,
Absolutely.
you're there to nurture them, to raise them, to
Mhm.
instruct them. So it's definitely important what we put into our children.
Mhm.
Now, though, oh my God, those numbers you just gave me was just it just kind of blew my mind there. And I'm looking in this article. They're talking about academic achievement. Sorry, let me tell you the title of this article: "The Effects of a Single Parent Home on a
Mhm.
Child's Behavior," is what
Mhm.
I ended up pulling up. It's talking about academic achievement. Most single parent households are run by mothers, as you stated. The
Mhm.
absence of a father, kind of relating to even the poem we just heard, coupled with lower household income. So this is all stuff you were talking about. It can increase the risk of children performing poorly in school. The lack
Mhm.
of financial support from a father often
Mhm.
results in single mothers working more, and so then as you, it doesn't necessarily mean that single parents are raising criminals or those who are doing wrong. But the very fact that she's out there working so much, like 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 jobs. And so then the kid, latchkey kid,
Mhm.
or, they come home, and then sometimes they may be enticed by their friends or
Mhm.
whatever.
Mhm.
Um, so that I think that, again, going back to the instruction from the parent, the teaching
Mhm.
from the parent is going to be so, so important. You instruct them, it's going to come back up, just like the word says. You train up a child,
That's right.
simple enough.
Mhm.
The way they should go, and when they're old, they won't depart. It's going to come back up.
Mhm.
We have to, and then we have to believe in what we're instilling in them. So definitely instilling the right things. Go ahead. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say that I think that now, when you and I were raised, there was no, I'm going to call social services or I'm going to make a phone call. I think now society has come in and prevents parents from being parents. I always told my son, and I believe it's Proverbs 23, verse 13 and 14. The King James Version says, if thou beatest the child with the rod,
he's not going to die.
yeah, he not going to die. He not going to die. And my son argued me up and down. God wouldn't want you to beat your child. He didn't say beat. I said, go get the Bible. And he says, I can't believe it. Not this not a Bible. He just couldn't believe it. But I think that, and I was very hard on him. I mean, I was tough on him because I knew I had to raise this young Black man. I looked at him as a kid, but one day he gonna be a man, and I gotta raise him to go a certain way, as the word says. And so I was very hard on him. I picked his friends for him until he was 16, 17 years old.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I do not blame you.
And I think that society has handcuffed us really to really discipline our kids the way that the word says. Now, I know everybody not a believer, but I dared somebody to tell me, I'd be like, okay, so you are jeopardizing or you going against my religious right because I believe this. And it's a biblical principle for me,
Right.
And so I dared somebody to challenge me on how I was raising this young man. And they never did. And you couldn't pay him to do anything crazy now. He'd be like, I can't say that to my mama,
Right.
And so I think that is very important for parents to feel empowered that they can discipline their kids. Now, I'm not saying child abuse,
Right.
but it's nothing wrong. And I'm probably gonna get in trouble for this, but hey, listen,
I'm probably gonna come right behind you and let them prove it.
It's nothing wrong with discipline, and sometimes hard discipline. Time out. What was that?
The word.
Yeah,
just the word.
I didn't get time out. And so my son didn't get it either. He don't eat time out. What's that? Right. And he used to say all the time, I'm not gonna whoop my kids. I'm not gonna beat them. I'm not. Now he says, oh, I'm gonna get them. Because he thanks me.
Right.
He thanks me now.
Beautiful.
Before he was like, I don't get it. Why? Why would God say to do this?
Right.
But now he understands and he says, thank you for being so hard on me.
Yes.
Because now, if I close my eyes tomorrow, I know he's going to be okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Can I ask you this? At what point did you get married?
When he was 19. I just got married in 2016.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you were, seriously,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a true single parent.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Until, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Until he was of age.
Yeah.
Basically. Okay.
Yeah. And so
Wonderful.
Everybody wondered, like, who is this mystery guy? Who Nicole is going to marry somebody who? Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, this is great. So you didn't have to, I don't know, your whole background. I know that that almost reminds me of my mom a little bit, although the situation was a little different. Of course, she was married to my dad. And then they got a divorce when I was young. I don't know if I was maybe like 5 or something like that. But mother stayed single until I graduated from high school. I'm the baby. I'm sorry. I have to tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
So I have, siblings that are older than me, of course. But she stayed single, and she did not bring, and I would tell people this too. My mother was a looker. She was beautiful, and she had suitors. She did. But she didn't bring men in over us, rather. man in and she dating for a while and sitting no, she didn't do that. And I respected her for that. I thought it was beautiful. And then so by the time she get ready to get married, I'm like, who is this? You want to marry or whatever. So like you said, your friend said to you. But I appreciated that she did not do that because, a lot of times you just don't know, especially nowadays, bringing just any and everybody in over your children. She wasn't having that. So, you have to be careful the examples that you set. What you bring in over them. I mean, again, they are your responsibility, and God's going to hold you accountable as a parent. All right, let's see here. Oh God, you guys are coming in, and I hate not acknowledging you, so forgive me. Demetrius Hunt, how are you? Thanks for watching. Carolyn McIntyre, thanks for watching. Sharon Morris, Lady Marichelle, thanks for watching on today. And Sean Platinum Brown, we appreciate you. Brandy says here, she lets folks know immediately. If you have something to say, let me go over here and read it so I can read it in its entirety. She let folks know immediately. If you have something to say about how I discipline my sons, you better have a room in your home ready for them to live in. If not, shut your hole and mind your own. Well, you know what? Hey, I'm not mad at you. I mean, because again, your responsibility. What goes on in your house, that's your house. I would always joke around, during that time, of course, my mom had to raise, us four, single parent. My dad, he would have his visitations on the weekend. We would go with dad or whatever. But she, kept that house. You couldn't play in Mary Janelle's house. You could not. And I would, my friends and I, we would say this because it was kind of funny. She knew what was in that house. She knew what she purchased for you. She knew everything. And, I thank God for that. Even if I came in the house with a ball from outside or something, where'd you get that from? Carry it back where you got it from. So I'm thinking this is a ball. Hello. But she didn't play. I mean, she wanted to make sure that her children were being, raised and instructed correctly and not just, getting in and everything. I could have gotten off into a lot of stuff. I really could have. But I thank God for the instruction, that she gave us as a single parent. I really do. Did you want to say anything?
I was just going to say that I think it's so important. And one of our workshops, we talk about that. We talk about, raising your kids to the standard that you see fit, not what society says you think you should do. To, pull out the rod of correction. I would rather you do that than to worry about them knocking me in the head later, because if they don't respect you as a parent, if they don't fear you, and it's good fear, not, bad fear. No, fear in the aspect of respecting authority. And I think that we have lost that. And not saying that it's only kids from single parent households, but every time you see a situation in the news, we come to find out, a lot of times they were from a single parent household. But parents, period, in general, just, don't be afraid to raise your kids and discipline them when necessary, and be tough with it, because, they'll thank you later.
Okay.
They'll thank you later.
Yeah, they will thank you later. That's good stuff right there. Good stuff. There's another point in this article talks about the emotional effects on children of single parent homes. Having only one income earner in the home puts single parent households at risk for poverty. This is a research done at University of Washington, and living in poverty is stressful and can have many emotional effects on children, including low self-esteem, increased anger and frustration, and an increased risk for violent behavior. As your thesis was on, your dissertation, I believe you said. It says, besides financial constraints, other emotional effects of growing up in a single parent household may include feelings of abandonment, sadness, loneliness, and difficulty socializing and connecting with others. Says the effects vary from child to child, of course,
Mhm.
and the individual parenting style of the single parent is also a big influence. We keep going back to that, the
Mhm.
parenting style
Mhm.
on the child's development. You know, I, my heart just really goes out to, the children of single parent households. You know, like you said, a lot of times if you see stuff in the news or maybe they've done something or whatever, or just sitting observing, you can kind of pick up something and you're like, okay, if you didn't know that they were from a single parent household, then you get, oh, maybe that's what's going on. Maybe they're
Mhm.
missing not having that dad there,
Mhm. Mhm.
um, or the instruction, of having. I know there's this couple that I know who the husband, he actually every once in a while, they're not young, they're kind of old. Every once in a while, he has in the past kind of, his reaction to his wife, and they have children too, is like, I don't know. To me, I'm thinking if he had had the instruction of a father, his own father, of how to be a father and how to be a husband,
Mhm.
I believe that that would have helped him. And so some of the behavior that he, exemplifies would not be,
Mhm. Mhm.
because at first you're looking at it and you're like, okay, why is he doing this? And then when it's a continual thing and it's a cycle, like, then I get to thinking, anybody knows Annette, my mind gets to going. I get to thinking,
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, tell me about his father.
Mhm.
Didn't really know his father.
Mhm.
He was part of a single parent. I don't if I'm not mistaken, I don't think that his parents were ever married.
Mm.
So it was like I just don't think that he really knew how
Mhm.
to be, a husband and a father.
Mhm.
So this is stuff that's just so important. I mean, what would you
Mhm.
say to a situation like that?
You know, looking at the emotional, the um intellectual, all these different aspects when raising a kid from a single parent household, you're trying to give them everything that they, when one parent is lacking, maybe the other parent has it. They can help them, encourage them, motivate them, give them that self esteem that they need. I know that. Because of finances and different things, kids tend to suffer. Okay. And there was a time, like I said, I never bought my son Jordans. I just couldn't fathom spending over $100 on a pair of gym shoes. And you're going to be asking me for lunch money next week,
Exactly.
So, but I do know that because I could not do all the things, and not saying to give him everything that he wanted. My son, he was an only child, so he got his fair, share of, things, but he did miss out on a lot because he knew mommy couldn't afford it. And I do think that as a result of that, he feels that he has to outperform, or sometimes he doesn't measure up. And you commenting on that article caused me to reflect and think back to, what did that mean for my son when raising him, and we didn't have, and he couldn't do certain things. And so I'm certain that it does cause issues with kids of single parent households. And that leads right into them going out and trying to figure out a way to get it, legitimately or illegitimately,
Right.
So
Okay. Ooh wee. That's good. I
yeah.
I was gonna say something. You mentioned something earlier, um, but I do want to ask about your son in
Hmm.
terms of, did he ever talk about, maybe express to you, during the years or whatever, how maybe the situation at home was affecting him,
Hmm.
or did you just know that it was affecting him in certain ways?
It wasn't until he got older that he shared with me that he suffers from low self esteem. I never I mean, I was heartbroken when he told me because I never would have imagined that. You are a mighty man of God. I'm raising you. You're going to be awesome. God has called you to do great things. And all those things are true. But he didn't believe in himself,
Okay.
And, you know, I just, I thought that he deserved the best, and I tried to give him everything that I could within means. I sacrificed. He went to a boarding school. We don't go to boarding school, but he wanted to go. And academically, he could compete. So he went to Lake Forest Academy and he stayed there and finished out high school. He went away to college, and he's doing well. He's doing really well. He's a bioengineering major, but
Wow.
with singing, as
Wow.
another thing that he likes to do. And so he was also the kid that gave up the $70,000 scholarship that IT gave him because he didn't want to be in Chicago. So he's a thinker. He's wise with his years. He has a self-esteem issue. How that happened, I don't know. But it was kind of, hurtful for me to know. I was like, well, what did I do wrong? And I don't know. I still don't have the answer.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, I mean, a lot of times it's not necessarily what you have or have not done, because I'm sure he's seen you, as a mom and in your role and what you were doing, what you were trying to get for him. So it may not even be all of that. I mean, sometimes, some children may be thinking, okay, my other parent is not here. Why aren't they here? So they may take it personally themselves, that maybe that could have been, am I the reason that they're not here or something like that? Or did I say something wrong? But of course, he was a baby or whatever, but I'm just saying, a whole myriad of things could be running through their mind, I'm not sure how, active the father is, or was in his life, or what have you, kind of relationship that was, but a lot of that has an effect. So, I mean, from all that you were telling me on today about yourself, I don't think that you did anything to do that. I mean, that's just me in my thinking on, on that. But, a lot of times they could just be thinking within themselves, it's me, it's because of me that we don't have this, or my mom, I've seen her struggle or whatever, but it could be a wide variety of things. But like you said, you were shocked to hear that from him. But that was good that he shared it with you, though.
Yeah, we have a unique relationship.
Do you?
He's 21 now. I'm a grown man. He shares a lot with me, and I know there's some stuff he doesn't share, and that's fine. I'm not trying to be all in your business. I've kind of scaled back. I was a hover mom.
Okay.
I was, and I'm proud of it. Yeah, I was a hover mom, but I have scaled back. I'm not going to be that mother to choose who you marry, who you date. But I will step up and say something if it's somebody that, that I think is not going in the same direction. I will share my thoughts, and that's it. I can't force you to do anything. His dad was in his life. He, for the most part, he did go every other weekend, for an extended period of time, and then that kind of fell off. But I was very careful about what I said about his dad in front of him. I let him come to his own ideas about his father as he got older, and they have a relationship now, but it's not the greatest.
Okay.
And it's, mainly because of, what my son, learned as he got older. He saw it for himself,
There you go.
and so I didn't have to say anything, and so we have, my son and I, we have a great relationship. We don't always agree. Sometimes I have to remember that he is a grown man, because I want to say, look, this is what you need to do.
Okay. You're so used to doing that.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm so used to, guiding, but they, your kids are going to always be your kids, and they're going to always need guidance, even as an adult, you know. And so, you know, you never stop parenting. You never stop parenting. And I think
Never.
that I'm still a single mama, you know, because he still come to me like that, you know, but,
Okay.
you know.
Okay. All right. I like that. I see you on here, Deborah Banks, Pastor Marshall. Thanks for watching as well. Just trying to catch you guys as you come in and acknowledge you. So yeah, that's there's something else I wanted to ask you about your son, and if it's important, it'll come back to me because you said quite a few things there, and I believe that, you know, he is going to. I mean, like you say, he's doing well right now, but he's definitely going to remember, you know, all that you have instilled in him, and, you know, it'll help him make the right decision. So I know you say you were that hover mom and you kind of want to still do it, but you know, when you instruct, you know, I know I said it early, when you instruct, then you have to be confident in how you've instructed them, and that they'll remember this. It's going to be in the back of them. My mama said, okay, maybe I should do it this way. You know, what are you going to say?
Well, let's be clear. I raised him. I didn't do everything right all the time.
Who does?
Right. Yeah, because I'm not perfect by far. But I tried the way I thought God wanted me to raise him. I just, you know, I'll tell you this. When I was in the hospital, wasn't saved, I just had him. I was there by myself, and I cried a river because I was saying to myself, what am I going to do? I have to raise this boy. I said, I am responsible for a life. And I knew that I had to do things differently. And so, you know, if I can encourage single parents, you know, into raising their kids in a way that they don't have to worry about them. You know, whatever that looks like, you want to raise them so that they're self-sufficient. Give them what you didn't have. I didn't have anybody telling me about good credit. You know, I didn't. I wish I had, you know, back then. And so now that's why I strive to, and really all of the boys, we call them the boys, my husband's sons too, you know, we strive to make sure they know about, you know, credit. And so everybody has good credit, you know.
Okay,
but
good.
Doing those things for our kids that maybe we didn't have, and we want them to have a better life, you know. So like I said, if I close my eyes tomorrow, I know he'll be all right.
Right. And you always want better for your children.
Absolutely. You want better for them.
Definitely. It did come back to me. You were mentioning about how you did not talk negative about your child's father. And that I have to pat you on the back again for that, because not many mothers do that. You know, single mothers, they will take their time and talk negatively about the father to whomever will listen, especially to the children. And that's another takeaway that I learned from my mom as well. Whatever issues her and my dad had to even get them to the point of divorce, she didn't you know, put that over on us.
Right.
She didn't tell us about it. She didn't, you know, run him down or anything. And it wasn't until, and it's going to sound weird, it wasn't until my mother passed away in 1999. It wasn't until she passed that I realized how important that was. Because she left the earth first. My dad was still here. So if and I was thinking in my mind, if she had basically turned us against him or talked to us negatively about him or ran him down, we wouldn't even have a relationship with my dad. You know, after she left, I could have been like, you did my mama wrong, da 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 da. Now, some things I found out, just like you said, your son found out, you know, as I became older. But again, I'm like, well, mother didn't run him down, so I'm not going to turn my back on him. And my dad passed away, unfortunately, in 2016. But from that time, from the time my mother died in 99 to 2016, My dad needed us.
Mm-hmm.
He needed his girls. And if she had basically, and as I say, turned us against him, we wouldn't have been there for him.
Mm-hmm.
So that was wisdom on her part.
Mm-hmm.
That was definitely wisdom. So again, I commend you for that as well.
You know, I just didn't think that it would do us any good, you know, my son and I, or his dad, to berate him, talk about him, you know, because then that, to me, that would have me raising my son to be angry.
Yes.
And I did not want that for him. I wanted him to see stability, happiness. Although he says now, I remember I used to see you cry and, you know, go through your moments or what have you. But I didn't want him to grow up angry, you know, and resenting his father. Now, if he grew up and resented him for whatever else he saw, that didn't come from me,
Right.
you know. And so that was really important for me. You know, he did call my girlfriends while my son was asleep, or, you know,
Right.
maybe with his father for the
You
weekend,
need to vent.
and vent and say what I had to say. But when he came back, you know, waved to his father out the door and, okay, come on, you know, how was your weekend? You know, that type of thing. But I was very careful about that because I didn't want him growing up angry.
Good.
You know.
Good. Some people can take some notes from that for sure, especially a lot of stuff we see in social media. You know, people just going off because they've been hurt. So this is good. I think I want to take a quick break here, just play a little bit of music, and we'll come back and we'll kind of wrap it up. A couple more questions I want to ask you. I love it. This is sounding good, Dr. Scott. You listen to Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette right here on Intellectual Radio.
Won the battle down in the valley. Great things happen. Great things happen when shepherds worship. When shepherds worship. Yeah, miracles. Miracles happen. Yeah. When shepherds worship. You need to know great things happen. When shepherds worship. When shepherds worship. And victory happens. When our hands are raised, when our hands are raised, the men of God, and worship is what we do. We love to praise. We must go to that place before we can leave you. So let us worship Him in spirit. Worship Him in truth for all that He's already done and everything He will do, because great things happens when shepherds worship, and miracles happen when shepherds praise. When shepherds praise, everybody needs to know great things happen when shepherds worship. When shepherds worship, victory happens when our hands are raised. Nehemiah 8:6 says that Ezra praised the Lord, the great God, and all the people shouted, Amen, as they lifted their hands. Then they bowed down with their faces to the ground and they worshiped the Lord. I want everybody under the sound of my voice right now to help us say, we give you praise. All of our days is to you. That our hands are raised. Hallelujah. We give you praise, God. We give you glory for who you are. Come on, help us say it tonight. We give you praise. All of our days is to you. That our hands are raised. We lift our hands in worship. We lift our hands in praise, and we give you glory. We give you praise. All of our days, it is to you. It is to you. Our hands are raised. When we think of all you've done, when we think of your goodness, we lift our hands in praise. We lift our hands and we worship you. We lift our hands in praise. We praise you, Lord, for all that
All right, welcome back. Welcome back to Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette. You're listening to us here on Intellectual Radio. I'm your host, Annette Harris, and I'm here in the studio this afternoon. Are you just not joining us because you have missed a treat? I must tell you that. Dr. Nicole D. Howell Scott, American Association of Single Parents, AASP, Mom 911. I tell you, she's been talking to us about single parents, and we've been discussing the effects on the parents themselves, and then also on the children. And her organization is just wonderful. And I know a lot of you are saying that you really wished you had this when your children were younger, or when you were in the situation of being a single parent. But this is for those who need it now. And I was actually referencing an article. Let me just say this last point in here. We talked about the academic achievement, emotional effects of what it would be on a child's behavior being in a single parent home. The last point here was positive effects. So this is good for us to kind of in today's show on. It says here, single parenting can have positive effects on children as well, depending on other factors such as personality types and parenting techniques. Here we go back with those parenting techniques again. According to a study at Cornell University, positive single parenting did not show any negative impact on the social and educational development of the 12 and 13-year-olds participating in the study. In addition, children in single-parent families may exhibit strong responsibility skills, as they are often called upon to help out more with family chores and tasks. Children in single-parent families often form close bonds with their parent, as they are closely dependent on each other throughout the child's life. Children from single-parent families may also form closer bonds with extended family members or family friends, as these people often help raise them. And, go to that. It takes a village, to raise a child, and it's good to have that support system, around you. So with this in mind, talking about the positive effects, can you tell us about some maybe positive testimonies that have come through your organization that you know about, just to kind of encourage the people?
Absolutely. So, all is not lost, because parent, and you have to, I say raise your tribe. Okay. They can go to college, they can, get degrees and go on to, get master's degrees and doctorates, all of those things. And we're not going to get it right because we are not perfect. However, be consistent and be deliberate in your instruction. I have witnessed a number of parents who take our workshops regarding parenting and how to save money and different things like that. Their kids, they were 2 and 3, and now some of them, they come back and they say, "Oh, Miss Nicole," and they're 16 and 17 getting ready to go to college.
Okay.
And, the parents will say, if it was not for that particular workshop where you told me to be consistent and don't worry about, outside people telling me how to raise my child, I don't know if he would be where he is today. Yeah. Or I don't know if she would be considering what college to go to. Multiple offers, because our kids are just as resilient. They are able to excel and do great things. I mean, if you think about it, you look at the NBA, the NFL, you look at those guys who come right out of high school, or, the first year of college, they go into this professional, they become a professional athlete. Some of them say, "Hey, my dad wasn't there. My mom was there, and pushed me and was there and supported me." And so our kids can do great things. Everybody's not going to bounce a basketball or throw a football.
Right.
And so they can still do great things.
Definitely. I love that. I was thinking of that one movie. Was the Tyler Perry movie? Is it Meet the Browns? No. It was the movie where Angela Bassett was the mother, and
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I don't know the title of the movie either.
I don't know. Well, she was the single parent,
Mhm.
and the young man, I think is it Lance? Lance? I can't think of his name, the actor's name. But anyway, you all may know the movie I'm referring to. But he was the young man, he was a teenager and playing basketball,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah. And so he saw how his mother struggled,
Mhm.
with the rent, with the lights and everything, and he felt horrible.
Mhm.
So I think at one point he was like, okay, I need to try and do something. I think was he trying to sell drugs or something like that?
Yeah.
And end up getting shot.
Mhm.
Yeah. But I think that was at the point where he decided he wasn't going to sell it, but
Mhm.
the guys end up shooting him or whatever. But anyway, and then she goes on and she meets her family, her other family she didn't even know about, right? I think it's the same movie. Yeah, it is. And so then, yeah, Meet the Browns. Thank you, Pastor Marshall. I knew somebody would know it. Yeah, it was. And so then, oh, what's that man? That fine man's name?
Rick Fox.
Yes,
I'm waiting on
Lord
you.
Jesus. Hallelujah. Okay, from the Lakers, he's played
Yeah.
basketball, but he was the basketball scout,
Mm.
and so he eventually,
Yeah.
story happened after they get married and all this stuff or whatever. But yeah, that was something to that was a single parent situation that that was reality really.
Mhm.
A lot of times the single parents struggle, and then the dad once the young man finally got the scholarship and was going to go and play college ball, and then here comes the was it college ball or pro ball, whatever. Here comes the real father trying to pop up in there at the press conference, this
Oh
is my
yeah.
son or whatever. And he was like, okay, just leave him be or whatever. But that's how they do sometimes.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Come popping up. But all again, I was wanting to say all is not lost. Just
Yeah.
be encouraged. Be encouraged to know all is not lost if you're a single parent. There's help out here for you, resources out here for you to help you along your way. Don't, and then if you're a newly single parent, maybe your child is like hers was when she started out,
Mhm.
1 year old or whatever. Don't be discouraged. You know what? This show is here for a reason today. She's here today for a reason. Look her up. Look up Dr. Scott. She has a great plethora of resources for you to be able to get beyond what you're in. And if everything could be all right, it really
Mhm.
could. We think positive. There's stuff out here for us. Are there any parting words that you want to leave with our listeners on today?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's it. Bye bye. No,
Yeah.
just kidding. No, what do you want to say?
It's a million things in my head.
Okay.
A million things in my head. But don't give up. I usually do a pledge for the kids and the parents. And so I'll just say that, and
Look in
you
the camera and
can.
tell them that.
Okay. Oh, wait, which camera? There's one right there. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll just say the pledge.
That's good.
Okay.
All right.
I too, and you state your name. So I too, Dr. Nicole Scott, pledge to stay focused on the goal that I have placed before me, and that's raising your kids. I will not accept failure. I will seek out and utilize all resources that will assist me in raising my children successfully. I will not involve myself in any behaviors or activities that will break my promise that I am making to myself today. On this day, I am motivated and prepared to raise my children to be successful citizens in this day and beyond.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right. Did you all hear that pledge?
So raise your kids. It's okay to get the rod out sometime.
There you go. Hey, I'm the better for it. I get plenty of whoopings.
Yeah. Mhm.
I am the better for it. But this is wonderful. Dr. Nicole, thank you again. We appreciate you taking time out on today, coming and sharing with us and giving us the information that we need. And I believe God is pleased. I believe he's pleased.
Yeah.
Definitely, with everything you're doing, pleased with you and the steps that you have taken. So we thank God for you. All right. So, and I want to thank all my listeners, Facebook Live, YouTube, listening to us on the station's website, for joining in, for chiming in, for sitting tentatively on today. And again, we hope that there was something that was said that would help you. American Association of Single Parents. Look up Dr. Scott. She can help you. The website, again, is aasp-inc.org. Again, that is aasp-inc.org. Look her up. She's the president and founder, again, of American Association of Single Parents. You will not be disappointed. Now, you would think that I am a parent or a single parent the way I was pushing and promoting. I have no children, so but I love this. I love what you're doing, and I want to get it out. And you can even go on Facebook. She has posted a lot in my Networking with Vibes page, so you can go there also and connect with her. Send her a friend request on Facebook. I'm sure she'll accept your friend request. And again, you will not be disappointed. There are resources available for you, so you do not have to continue on the way you are. God has blessed and opened up doors. So again, thank Intellectual Radio. Thank you, Earl, for this time here. And hey, you guys, this is the second day seeing Annette. Make sure you guys come back tomorrow evening, 5 p.m. Intellectual Radio. Mind, Body, and Soul and A&E Conversation will be back. So until next time, I want you to get caught up with Annette.
You've just been listening to Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette, where your host, Annette Harris, provided you with psychological and biblical insight for your everyday concerns. Need more insight? Visit Annette's Facebook page at Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette. Don't forget, tune in next week for Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette.